Hello everyone, my name is Rochelle Innocent and I'm the founder and CEO of Project Purpose. Welcome to our YouTube channel. Our community is focused on fostering the intellectual and character development in children. We do this through our parent-child workshops that focus on 4 themes: autonomy, self-efficacy, compassion, and self-concept, in order to cultivate grit, perseverance, and resilience in each child. At Project Purpose, our overarching mandate is to renew and rebuild families, community, and relationships. Our YouTube platform provides us with a space where we can have discussions on all topics that relate to family, community, and relationships with ourselves as well as with others, with a primary focus on mental health and education. More precisely, the ways that the institutions of mental health and education have played a role and play a role in our societies at large. These discussions and debates provide us with an opportunity to think critically about what needs to change within these structures in order for us to live up to our bold slogan: support, protect, and empower each child through youth-focused development, better known as leadership in juvenescence. We recognize that in valuing our children's leadership potential, that also translates as recreating and co-creating spaces, both socially and politically, in order for our children to thrive. Now, for those of you who are particularly interested in the topic, we definitely do write thought pieces every other Sunday. We have one scheduled to drop this Sunday coming up, so definitely be sure to head on to our website, subscribe to our website too, and check out the content that we have there. Now, as is the YouTube convention, please do subscribe. Hit that post notification bell so that you're aware of every time we post. And of course, if you like our conversations and you want to keep them going, like, comment, and share this video. Let's get into it. Hello everyone, and welcome to video 2 this week on mental wellness. I'm very happy to have you here with me. For those of you who are new, hello again. I'm really happy that you're here. And for those of you who are returning, thank you for coming back, and please make sure that you engage with me. I want to hear from you. I want to see you. And it's very encouraging when I get an email or I get a note. It makes me feel like the work that I'm doing is actually like helping people and impacting people. So for those of you who have reached out and who have, communicated with me and let me know like how much you like the content, and even let me know like what things I need to do to make the content even better, definitely enjoy hearing from you. So I want to just have a quick conversation about how we manage when we're not okay. And I think that's an important discussion to have, because a lot of the times we kind of glaze over it's okay not to be okay, but we don't really talk about how that translates. And I think that we need to have a discussion about how it translates, because even if we like to kind of sing the slogan that it's okay to not be okay, sometimes we ourselves feel uncomfortable when other people are not okay, or sometimes we experience discomfort when we ourselves are not okay. So we kind of give ourselves permission to not be okay in sort of a broad way, but when we're not okay, we struggle to even admit it to ourselves, and we struggle with the behaviors that coincide with not being okay. So I wanted to address that, because everyone in their life at some point, at many points in their life, experience not being okay, and sitting and not being okay is fine. And I think that we need to talk about the fact that not being okay can translate in a lot of different ways that we shouldn't be concerned with. Like if you're heartbroken, not being okay means you're going to cry for a couple of days, and you can cry for a couple of days without someone having to come and label you as being depressed. You're just experiencing sadness, and it's okay that you're crying and displaying the emotionality that coincides with sadness. It's okay to be angry, and while there are adaptive and maladaptive ways that anger translates, there is nothing wrong with anger in and of itself. If you're not okay and the way that translates is with anger, then that's not something that people should demonize you for. You shouldn't be criticized because you're experiencing a human emotion. So I think we need to have a deeper conversation about all the different ways that not being okay translates, so that we can all realize that if someone's not okay and this is how it's translating, it doesn't mean that we feel uncomfortable and shut them out or limit their ability to express their not being okay. And I think that that's one of the areas that is lacking in the conversations about not being okay. Like, we all want to be okay with it, but we don't want to deal with the discomfort that comes with being in the presence of someone who is not okay. And I think that we need to recognize that it's not about us. If someone's not okay and they feel comfortable enough with us to kind of be vulnerable and open about that with us, then all we need to do is show up. Like, the only expectation that anyone has who is emoting is that someone is there to listen and to value that emotion, to give it a sense of worth. The worst, there's very little that is worse than being emotional with someone, that they care very little about your emotionality. And I think that sometimes we shut down because the emotionality of others makes us feel uncomfortable. But I think we need to start getting more comfortable with being uncomfortable until we recognize that other people's emotions have very little to do with us. They have much to do with them. But when we say that it's okay to not be okay, we need to demonstrate that it's okay to not be okay by being comfortable in the presence of those who are not okay, and recognizing that there are different ways that not being okay can translate. That doesn't translate as us being at risk or us being in harm's way. And sometimes we catastrophize what could take place if we're, with someone who's experiencing a moment where they're not okay and it's sort of big and it's loud and it's a bit dramatic. And I think definitely be cautious, but always recognize that all people are looking for is validation, especially if they're being, expressive with the degrees that they're not okay. And I think on the flip side of the conversation, how okay are you to be sort of the recipient of, some of the energy that comes from people who are not being okay? How comfortable are you to be in the presence of someone who needs support? How can we become more comfortable? Because if we're a community not just in the good times, we're a community also during the difficult times. But it means that we need to sort of anchor ourselves and be available to those that we care about when they're not okay, and not internalize that, and not take it personally that they're not okay, and not take the fact that sometimes we can't fix it, right? And I think that when we think about how we receive someone who is not okay, sometimes we, jump into solution mode. And I'm someone who's very solution oriented. Like, I'm definitely guilty of this. But I've realized that sometimes if someone's choosing me to not be okay with, all they want me to do is be there. They just want me to be present and to listen to them and to validate their experience. And they don't need me to fix their problems. And I think this is a conversation we need to have more broadly. You're not expected to fix the problems of those who have chosen you to just be vulnerable with. And definitely, if you want to help them troubleshoot their way back to being okay, definitely do it. But I don't think that that's always the request. I don't think that's always the expectation. And I think sometimes it is that expectation that makes us feel apprehensive about making ourselves available to people who are not okay. And I think we all need to think about our role just as humans, to support other humans during their periods of difficulty without us feeling the need to protect ourselves from the discomfort of that. Because at some point we're going to be that person who's uncomfortable. And wouldn't it be just the worst experience to be alone and isolated because all of the people within your specific ecosystem are uncomfortable with the fact that you might not be okay, and are uncomfortable reaching out to you because they might deal with the effects of you not being okay. It's a very isolating experience. So to ensure that we don't isolate those who aren't okay because we're apprehensive about how they'll respond to us reaching out, I think we need to sort of recognize that caring isn't something that people are going to penalize, right? It's about respecting boundaries while you care. And there's a difference between the two. Like, showing that you care for someone that you think might be going through a difficult period is not a breach of a boundary. Overstepping is something that people can and will communicate with you, but there's nothing worse than doing nothing when you had it within you to do something. And even worse, doing nothing because you felt that it was inappropriate to do something, despite the fact that you care enough that you're putting time and energy and thought into hoping that this person's okay. So my challenge to you is, if there is someone that is in your network that you're hoping is okay, but you're not sure, but you feel apprehensive about reaching out to them, but you care enough about them that you're spending energy thinking about them, reach out and say, hey, just thinking about you, how's everything going? That's how relationships are maintained. And for those of you who are not okay, definitely reach out to someone who you feel you can be vulnerable with, that you can be open with, to kind of express the fact that you're not okay. And you don't have to, right? Like, Sometimes I feel like there's a little bit of peer pressure on, like if you're not okay, you need to tell someone. Like sometimes if you're not okay, you need to go for a walk. Sometimes if you're not okay, you need to write in your journal, or you need to like do a physical activity. You don't always need to engage other people if you're not okay. Especially if you don't want to feel like you're being a hindrance, or if you feel like you just need a little bit of time and space to deal with it on your own. But I think we all need to just be better equipped at communicating all the ways that we show up when we're not okay. And knowing that for ourselves, so that we can engage in appropriate and adaptive behaviors with ourselves when we're not okay. We can support ourselves the way we know we need. But also so that we can communicate that outwards to other people, so that other people know the role that they need to play with us if it is the case that you're not okay and they're present and want to be supportive. I think it's important we give people the tools to support us the way that we need support, so that everyone feels empowered to support, protect, and empower one another. So that was this video on this week. And for any of you out there who are not okay, it's okay, truly, to not be okay. And I think that if it is that you're not okay, don't criticize yourself for not being okay. Don't guilt yourself into being okay. Give yourself the time and space to not be okay without outside pressure to get back to normal. Resilience isn't time-bound necessarily. There are certain instances in our life that are going to take more time to rebound back from. And as long as your end goal is to get back to being okay and being better than what you were before that event took place, then you're going to get there. But give yourself the time and the space and the energy and the healing to get there. Don't try to rush through it, because everything, as you know, is a process. So that was this video on mental wellness. It's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to be around people who are not okay, and it's okay to ask how you can be present for people who are not okay as well. So hopefully this video resonates with someone. Hopefully it gives you some ideas on how to manage not being okay, or how to communicate that with other people, or how to help them be there for you during your time of need. And I guess just recognizing that mental wellness encompasses both sides. It encompasses the times where we are okay, that builds into mental wellness, and also the times where we are not okay. Mental wellness doesn't mean you're okay all the time. It means that you have adapted healthy behaviors that address and support you, regardless of which of the two states that you're in. So all of that to say, thank you so much for tuning in. I always enjoy talking with you. If you're still here, like, comment, share this video. Hear more of what we have to say around mental wellness, education, and health, then definitely be sure to subscribe. Always a great time, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next week.
I just feel like no one's listening.